Go.
Hello and welcome to the Coffee Shop Chaos podcast, hosted by Fantasy Soup. I'm Jesse, an artist for Fantasy Soup. With me is Tony, the creator of Fantasy Soup, and we're here to discuss all flavors of nerd stuff. Joining us today is Tim from our Magic Pod and various other activities.
How's it going, everyone?
So, Tim, this is your first podcast that you've ever been on, I assume.
Yes, that is correct.
Perfect. How about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Uh, well, I spent 8 years in the Navy. When I was overseas living in Japan for 3 years, I started doing Dungeons and Dragons. I became a DM, and I was trapped as the forever DM for forever.
Were
When
you
I
a
came
DM
back,
to other people on the base or people in Japan?
other people on the base, other military members. Turns out, military is full of nerds. Great time. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. So other than D&D, what are your other facets of nerddom?
Well, obviously, I'm in the same MTG pod as you guys. I play video games all over the place. I just do general nerdy shit. I watch anime,
Big
enjoy
anime
music.
guy.
Yeah, big anime guy. Actually, I have anime pulled up in a different tab on here, getting ready to watch it after we're done.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's kind of the extent of it. Video games, magic, anime, D&D. That's pretty much my extent.
That's pretty good. I mean, I can't really ask for much more from you. I mean, unless you said that you were into like advanced furry stuff.
No.
Yeah.
No, he's still in the novice stage of furry stuff.
Yes.
Oh,
Very,
yeah.
very, very. Maybe intermediate at most.
I would definitely
At
fall.
most.
I would put myself into more neko stuff instead of like a hard furry person.
Goes nice.
Yeah, I mean the farthest you can ever go is dangerously cheesy, and I don't think I'm there yet.
Just be cautious. Eventually, Elon Musk might succeed. Catgirls could be a thing.
I really don't put a lot of faith in him creating cat girls. I more expect AI to do it at this point.
Yeah, AI
Fair.
are just doing everything.
So do you guys want to break down the subjects you wanted to talk about today, or Jesse, did we have a different plan on the itinerary?
I think we should, since this is his first podcast with us, we just kind of go over maybe some of the stuff we've talked about before to get his views on it, and then bring up some newer stuff. Go over where Fantasy Soup is at the moment, where we're trying to get to, if there's been any developments, and then, as always, probably end up going political or world view conversation at the end.
That's fine. I think that's a good move. I guess we can talk about Magic and how we feel about the state of the game with the spoilers coming out for Mom.
For the mommy,
Yeah, the mother,
the mother.
the mother.
I would agree. So let's how about you start it off and
So
get down to business.
I look at Mother as a test ground for new ideas. It looks like they are going to make and release cards that are significantly stronger than everything else in the standard format right now. I know it's not a big thing for some people because they know Magic as a commander format, but you kind of look at these cards and go, okay, so this set has a 10/10 dinosaur that you can play in turn 3 with a Sorin card. Cool. People are happy about that in Modern. But how are they going to one up it in the next set?
Yeah, that's it feels like they're going a little heavy, but I would agree with you that they're putting a lot of new mechanics in with this set. With the battles, with the incubates, a lot of flip cards. They're trying a lot of new stuff.
I think that's really cool because Magic does these test sets like with Time Spiral, and there's a couple other sets in the past. But the problem is when they released a set that was really powerful, they would make a step in the opposite direction and make a set that's essentially like play this card, discard your whole hand, eat shit, punch your opponent gets to punch you in the face. I don't want to see that in Magic's future, but I also don't want like moving forward past the set to every set have to one up the last set. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Like it's okay to make a less powerful set after this, and I think personally they should.
Tim, you're pretty new to the game. You've started playing Arena. How does the
Yes.
Arena format feel right now?
So primarily in Arena, how we've been, I don't play modern or standard too much. I tend to sit around the brawl or historic brawl on there. Um, Even in those game modes, toxic became it became pretty common. Uh, but at least with gosh, what was this last one? All will be one. Um, Nothing really changed too much. I saw some of the newer cards get used. More toxic obviously got thrown in, but the commanders I was still running into were not too unique. Um, Jake would be great here because he has a boatload of stuff to spew out about alchemy cards, which are unique to Arena. He hates them so much.
Well,
Uh,
they don't. I kind of agree with them on some of that aspects. When it comes down to alchemy cards, you're looking at something that isn't a natural part of the game getting
mhm,
pushed with sets that are tabletop playable.
correct. Like we have, for example, there is we have the Broodmother, a spider commander, legendary spider card that is this exile 3 cards from your graveyard and conjure a spell from the Broodmother's spellbook. There are 13. They're all spider-based cards, and a lot of them are quite strong. So you mill your deck, you exile some cards, you then have um, this Orb Weaver, right?
Yeah.
One of the spiders, and you can just play it. So if your deck is full of kind of garbage cards, you just get her out, you mill the garbage cards into your graveyard, and then boom, you have actually a pretty decent spider lineup. And these cards that are just, conjure from the spellbook is all, to my knowledge, it's all exclusively from alchemy cards. There's a Tybalt that is an alchemy card that allows you to conjure +1 him. He's a planeswalker. +1 him. Add 1 red mana and conjure a card from his, which are all devils, all red devils. And it can be pretty nasty because there's 5/5 cards that can get conjured. You just have to cast it that turn for him specifically. Um, how do we feel about Massacre Worm? I love Massacre Worm.
Yeah, the chat's kind of in this on this one. Massacre Worm is a card that defined a format for a long time. It was almost a staple. It came out a long time ago in Old Phyrexia. It'd come out, play, and you would end up essentially wrecking the board. It was a $40-$50 card for a long time. 1/1s wouldn't have a chance with it. It played with Elish Norn, Black Sun Zenith, powerful cards in the format that, which I mean, Black Sun Zenith might have been a format before that, but you ended up with essentially, hey, by the way, if you're gonna fight me at any point in time, you're gonna lose 2 life, no matter what. And Elish Norn has a good example of the not Elish Norn, the new what's the lady you love in your deck?
Sheldred?
Sheldred. The new Sheldred has Massacre Worms lose 2 life, gain 2 life on draw, but you mix that with like Massacre Worms and a lot of other cards that came out. You have like a almost black burn deck. Plus Massacre Worm, if you can give your opponent tokens and then like, hey, here's like 400 1/1s and then Massacre Worm, you win. It's over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's one of the staple cards that my wife plays in her deck. And I know Arena comes out with some really cool stuff, but in the historic, it's a fast format.
It is. Yeah.
Commander, you play with 4 people. Historic Brawl, you play with 2. It gets
Yep.
you around the mechanics, but the games end so quick.
Mm-hmm. 15 minutes is usually, if you're playing a proper game, 15 minutes is the long end of a game. And things like the 4-person commander format kind of sets you up so that if one player puts in their commander, at least one of the 3 players can do something either in response or shortly afterwards to either A, remove the command or make it not a problem, or if it isn't a problem, then ignore it, whatever. But in Brawl, it is significantly harder. Every single game that I've played, I get my commander out once and it either stays out for quite a while, or anytime it dies, I have no real issue getting it back out.
Yeah, it's looking at it and it's like, does this die to removal? What's my opponent's deck? Are they going to combo off? And Commander has the feeling where you play with multiple people and you get this satisfaction feeling where you look across the table at your friends and you go, hey, if you don't kill this, I'll go deal with Jake. And Jake has all these enchantments. And you can make these wheels and deals, but online you're kind of cold. And I mean, the amount of times I've had games where it's like, oh, I'm about to swing out for lethal. And it's like, oh, you scooped. All right, cool. I guess I'm not going to get that satisfaction. It'd be cool if they had a ranked format for every format on Arena. This way people could like experience actually losing, because you don't lose until you pull your last card. That happens a lot in tournaments where people give up a match and they're like, oh, I could have won that. It's like, yeah, but you decided to give up. So a lot of professional Magic players play until you're dead.
Mm-hmm. That is fair.
Yeah.
I've definitely noticed that in Brawl too, where I have a Jin Kataxis standard Brawl deck it's just a mono blue Jin Kataxis is the commander. Anytime I play that deck, if I can get Jin Kataxis out, game's done. They just scoop immediately.
Yeah. And it's I like Arena. I like the fact that I can sit down and play Magic, but I don't think the Wizards. I don't think Wizards has the right momentum to it, and also I feel like they can pull Arena at any time. That's what they've done with a lot of their other games that they've done. They're like, this is going to be the only Magic game we ever release, and you kind of get stuck in this. It's like, oh, I'm going to commit a bunch of money to it, and then they're like, oh, actually, we pulled all those, and it's like, oh, thanks for dicking over everybody.
Okay, so actually on that topic, very briefly here, so I have that extreme concern too. So they just released Shadows of Innistrad remastered on Arena, right? Bringing back in horror creatures. It added in Emrakul, Aeon's Torn, whatever. Don't really care about that. I do have the concern of like you're pre-ordering these things, you're spending $20, $50, whatever you're buying, gems, card packs, whatever, and then the odds that they can just be pulled. There was a previous game I played way ages ago, probably when I was 2012, 2013, when I was 16, 17 area. I had put money into it, and then like they were doing these big sales. So they were doing like get this new character for whatever. So I put money into it, I got that character. Like for maybe a month and a half later, they announced we're closing. We're shutting down the servers. They're not out of business. They're not hurting for anything. They're just shutting it down. They don't want to spend the money to run the servers anymore. But they just ran these sales, and they don't really let you know. I think I threw $50, $60 in there, and then suddenly. But don't worry, we'll translate your your purchases in the last 4 months into points that you can use on one of these other games, which are terrible quality and did not. No, that was
It felt like a rug pull.
Exactly.
Yoink.
Yeah, that's actually kind of how I feel about the new Magic sets coming out. I feel like if they are too strong and they make Magic closer to Yu-Gi-Oh, the older cards will lose value because the older cards won't be played in any format. And then you have the collector aspect where it's like, oh, this card has been a staple forever, so like the Power 9's not going anywhere. Cool, but not every card is the Power 9. And then you're stuck with these cards that used to be the best cards you could ever play, like Stoneforge Mystic and things like that. But then they make a 1-drop Stoneforge Mystic, and now you're like, great, so why did I invest in these cards? You can invest them because you like them, you like the pictures, you like the art, but these competitive cards that you go out and play with they just don't do anything anymore. And I get the cycle of power creep happens, but the balancing of Magic the Gathering is a tree that you plant. It's not a forest yet, but by the time it's a forest, it is a great forest that you can take your lumber from, build up a little bit, plant more forest, and then go from there. And Wizards of the Coast is just kind of like, let's just cut down all these trees, let's go. And you
I
see
know
that
they're
with like the
making-
30th anniversary.
We saw it with March of the Machine, or not March of the Machine. Yeah, actually, March of the Machines and All Will Be One. How it had essentially no consequence except suddenly a lot of shit's dead, Coma's dead,
Well,
so on.
there's consequence, but there's like nothing as bad as it seemed they were making it out to be.
Right.
Like suddenly all these planeswalkers are complete, and it's like, oh boy, we're gonna lose some big hitters in the planeswalkers. How's that gonna change stories going forward? And then at the end, it's like, oh, well, well why are they all coming back?
I mean, I'm
Except
also
for the unliked ones, like the Coppercoat guy that I can't remember his name. Nobody liked him, so he stayed dead.
um I
Exactly. Yeah.
So wait, there were like 4 major ones that got completed, right? It was Vraska, Nahiri,
Vraska,
Jace.
Jace, Nahiri, Ajani,
Yeah, but
Nissa,
Johnny was before that though.
Nissa.
Nissa, that was the other one for
Yeah.
the 4 bigger ones. Gosh,
Nissa and Ajani get fixed,
uncompleted.
evidently.
yes, they get
Nahiri might be okay.
so
After
their
which is
spark
weird to me.
gets reignited with the it's 2 sparks dancing causes them to become unaligned with the oil in their blood. I can get that it's some sort of wibbly wobbly planeswalker, like, because planeswalkers get completed slower because their spark fights against the Phyrexia. What I'm confused about is when Nissa's hair grew back, because in the story, Chandra brushes Nissa's hair out of her eyes, but like she was bald.
Yeah.
How did she get hair back? When you get uncompleted, does your hair grow back?
What
It
else?
reverts-
Well, it did it not for Ajani?
Ajani got his eye back.
Yeah, he got all his stuff back when he was
to where it was beforehand.
even before that, because Ajani's eye was still hurt before he was completed.
So did
It's
it
just weird.
Did it essentially just revert time to prior to their completion?
Ah, man, I wish I knew.
Whatever.
I don't know. I feel like Wizards doesn't care about their story. I mean, if they really cared about their story, they wouldn't stick Gideon on Hot Pockets.
Fair.
That's yeah. I wish they would have just committed.
I think
Like,
it would have
these
been better.
planeswalkers are toast.
Or they're in
not
like a coma
back
because they lost their signal.
They're not coming back ever. They're done.
Yeah, that's what they did to like my man. I mean, Elspeth came back from the dead, but she came back from a plane that had an underworld.
Yeah. And technically, even Tamio's not. Well, she's dead, but she's also a scroll spirit now. Or
Yeah,
there's a version of her that it's basically like a memory program that she's kept alive.
She's a
by.
kami. She's essentially a kami.
Yeah.
She's a kami of the moon, I guess.
But it's like, I don't know. I don't like that they didn't commit. It feels like they just pulled the rug out.
I'm
It's
cool
like,
with
we're gonna do this
people.
horrible stuff, and then no.
I'm cool with people dying, but coming back in ways that are thematically okay with the plane. So if they like died on Theros, they came back as a Theros spirit because their soul went somewhere that Theros works with it. You know what I mean?
Like, I'm not upset that Tamio came back because it does make sense.
She
in a
came
way.
back as a kami. She's on Kamigawa. Kamigawa, when a great hero dies, they can ascend to be a spirit. That's cool.
That's
And she
fine.
was a great hero before completion and death.
Yeah, and she was a good mom.
I will step out for just a second here.
That's fine. Jesse.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the fantasy soup stuff. We did not land UBCon. I am thoroughly upset, but I understand why we didn't get it.
Yes. It's unfortunate. It hurt a little bit to see, but I mean, honestly, my hopes weren't that high
Yeah.
because
Uh,
I try to keep them realistic. Like, it'd be cool if we get it, but I'm not thinking that we will.
yeah, me
That
too.
being said, I'm not at all deterred moving forward.
No, I mean, we're not going to land every single one. It just sucks because there is someone who overcommitted to buttons and stuff like that, but I understand that it's a process. My
Hmm.
big move after that is looking ahead and going, okay, so there's a consignment store in the local area. I can look about putting my stuff there. There's Canadians that come and go, so I can sell my stuff to Canadians and set up a idea of what is a good seller and what's not a good seller. But also, I want to design more that catches people's eyes, you know?
Yeah, I think a difficulty for me is balancing between mass appeal and what I enjoy uh, designing,
Yeah.
design wise. I'm slowly starting to, I feel, come into that understanding, but it's definitely taking a bit
Yeah. I mean,
to
it's
get
the
there.
divide between sellable and cool.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this looks great, but why would other people want it?
Hmm.
Which, yeah, but
I,
I mean, we have that consignments. We have the concept for the consignment store. There's some stuff going on with that we are working out.
well, so right now I'm at the contract phase. They're thoroughly interested on everything that's sold on Etsy. Um, and the shop kind of just delisted some stuff, so I got to repost things. But they want I have the contract in my bag, which I forgot to bring with me last time, but I figured I would send you a copy, take pictures, see if you want to go over it. Covers
Okay,
rent, space, area
how,
footage.
how we'll split that up and everything, and
Yeah. I mean it's pretty cheap month to month for me, so I can pay that out of pocket with no issue. I would just understand that when I'm selling, so they're taking X% per sale, which makes sense for tax purposes, and then we're
you
making
would take
certain
enough to
profit,
cover
but the
the
markup,
table.
yeah, the markup on the merchandise, if we sell like two of my tentacle hoodies, that covers the table for like 2 months.
Okay.
So the opportunity cost outweighs the cost of the things. It's just I have to look at my margins, which is the worst thing to say on a first date. Honey, you're really pretty, but I got to look at my margins and see if I can afford you.
Yeah, but it is something that we have to do. We have to figure out the business side of it. We want to do this because it's something, like you said in an earlier podcast, tired talking about it. I want to do about it, but there are going to be steps that we're not familiar with that we have to get used to while we do about it.
Yeah.
This is true for any and all business situations that aren't online. Um, Out of curiosity, have you guys looked at well, would you guys be interested in investors, people to help fund for a small portion?
I would love to do that if I opened a physical location.
But just
Yeah.
working in that store, no.
No. The reason the store is cheap. It's not expensive on my end because I'm not super poor, so I can afford the little bit extra. That's kind of at the moment I had a little bit extra, I realized I can do more with it, and that's kind of why I started doing the Etsy store and things like that. And starting a small business from that point and then inviting your friends into it, it's nerve-wracking because I was like, all right, who are my friends that are, I don't want to say, I don't want to come off as an asshole, but like talented enough to join me
Or
and then would
committed enough
want
to
to
try.
Committed,
proceed
that's
with
a good
that.
one.
Mm.
And committed, they won't just leave if they aren't interested anymore.
Yeah. Because, people have lives and I don't expect them to overcommit to anything unless I'm sure about it. And I want people to do things that they enjoy and make and have a good time. And if they like fall out of love with it, like I get that. I do that all the time. But if I can have someone commit to me and go, hey, look, my part time, not really worried about it. Let's do this. It's the people who overcommit that I don't want to let down, and I don't want them to just, oh, it was cool for a minute, but I lost the dopamine for it. And I have friends like that, but I also have friends that enjoy making things. And if I kind of sit on their shoulder and be like, hey, if you do this, we can do this. So the other person who I have in Fantasy Soup right now, she is good at factory work. If I have her produce and produce and produce and produce, she'll make money back, and this way her investment isn't lost. And I'm happy that she didn't like buy a printing machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I open a physical location, though, I would love to take investments, but right now, not yet.
Not at that stage for sure.
Mhm.
Right.
But
Just
Tim,
need to talk about and find out. Yeah.
what? So as a outsider, kind of like looking as I do things, I don't know if you watched the other episodes and I talked. What do you think another good step would be for Fantasy Soup?
I think what you guys are currently doing is fantastic steps. You guys are. I think you should just see how your sales are first. In terms of like once you have the physical store, because if it blows up and it's really great, because what was the location that you guys were trying to or were making a deal with?
So there's a store in the Boulevard Mall called Creations.
What
They're expanding
creations?
to a second location in the Outlet Mall, which I don't know if they're sharing it on Facebook, so it's already public information.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going through the designs for the store, and they're taking over a previous store. It rhymes with Disney. Yeah,
I
they're taking
wonder
over.
who that could be.
Yeah, they're taking over the Disney store, the Disney store, the stuff like that,
The
and
Jizzle physics.
yeah, yeah. And their creations are like lamps and soaps and Buffalo Bills stuff, and those are really great moves. But they don't have anyone that does nerd stuff.
They do now.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm thinking, because I know that the location and where they're opening is right down the hall from like Zoomies. It's in the mall in the Falls, because the Falls has a nerd community that does things, but younger kids like My Hero Academia and all that stuff, and they go to the mall. Kids go to the mall. Kids should go to the mall because it helps our local economy. But
Right.
Canadians with kids go to the mall too.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. So I would think, or I would just see how your sales are after the first month, first 2 months, because you never really know how people will actually react. We love D&D. We love those really nerdy things. Your store is awesome to me, but it may not be to the Canadians, for a fucking reference at this point.
Yeah. I need to sell to Canadians, which isn't a hard thing because Canadians are people too. It's
Right.
just the clientele that comes over here has a distinct taste.
Right, and they're coming over here usually for a specific reason, and that's usually we're cheaper.
And clothing.
Yeah, our clothing is. I don't know. It's cheaper,
Our
but it's
stuff
still
is
not cheap.
cheaper. It's cheaper.
It's cheaper, but it's still not cheap. But yeah,
No.
it's cheaper than there.
And the people who
Yeah.
come over here want to be like trendsetters, so they buy name brand stuff. But I was talking to the owner, and a lot of the stuff they sell doesn't come in boxes and bags. So Canadians like to buy it because it's a lot easier to
Get back over.
yes, transport. Transport is the word I'm looking for. Um, but yeah, that's my next move. I'm probably gonna sign the contract, but I have to order some stuff first. I got an extension on my credit limit, so I'll probably look into ordering, I don't know, a bunch of stuff, some t-shirts, some stickers, buttons, kind of run through the catalog of things I have available. And then I was going to talk to a couple of the creators and then kind of bounce ideas off my friends in chat to see what's a cool thing that you think someone would buy. On that note, I have to go to the restroom. You guys start up a new topic. I'll join in a sec.
Okay. I will say,
Okay.
shiny click clack rocks, high seller.
They always are. So with Tony gone, I will start a questioning of my own. You are a DM. We touched on that. You started D&D in Japan for your military friends, and now do it online with other people that we know. What interested you about becoming a DM?
Okay, so The very first campaign that I participated in was run by a guy that I didn't even know. So I got invited in by one of my other friends. And I came in like the last 2 sessions. I created a level 19 Fallen Azimir Warlock, a Fiend Warlock. And I enjoyed it because I enjoy the role-playing aspect of it. I love being able to release imagination. It gets my dopamine, as they say. But then it ended, right? It ended, and we were like, okay, so what do we do now? Same DM starts creating another campaign, and I'm like, okay, I like it. I like the idea. But I have all this shit in my head that I created ages ago. So when I was in high school, I had wrote a very nice. When I was in high school, I wrote up it's not really a novel, but a story. And I wanted to create a D&D campaign that took place inside of the world of this story. And my concept was that I would, as I created the world and introduced my players to it, I would add factors that would make people feel like they could do more than what base 5e would allow. And so I developed a bunch of homebrew stuff associated with freely manipulating elements. I created a bunch of what I called artifact weapons, so extremely powerful magic items for late game to help make the players feel like they were these amazing beings. And that's why I DM. I want players to feel satisfied when they complete something. So one thing that you can even attest to this. You're a character. You still are a player. You just are taking a hiatus, but you can attest to this. I'm not an easy DM. I'm quite aggressive or ruthless in some senses. I like to say I'm an abusive DM because I like to throw harder stuff at him. But I don't do it because I want to kill the party, and I'll usually take aspects and plan ahead to prevent myself from killing my party off. However, I want the party to feel satisfied at the end of it. If you fight, if you're a level 10 party and you only fight goblins or low challenge rating stuff, there's never a risk of you failing or dying. You're never going to feel satisfied at the end of your quest, are you? So
Essentially,
yeah.
yeah.
So when I throw something that maybe puts two party members near death, and there's this awesome moment where somebody who you wouldn't even expect them to be strong, like maybe it's the sorcerer or the wizard who's out of spell slots, and they kill this bone devil that had just downed their two warrior friends. That's significantly more satisfying if against all odds, what you see as your party is dying in front of you, and you manage to kill the creature and win. That adds a significant layer of satisfaction and accomplishment, which I like to think players enjoy more than just molly-whopping a bunch of goblins.
It really depends on the player.
This is true.
It depends if you have like a Call of Duty friend compared to a kind of like a RPG friend.
This is also true. So that is one more thing that I find is very important as a DM is after your sessions, kind of getting feedback on if they enjoyed it. I have at least, nobody's had the guts to say it at least, but nobody's said they didn't enjoy they usually say they quite enjoyed my sessions.
I mean, it might be like sex.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell you that you're doing it bad because you don't have other experience.
Exactly.
I mean,
but this isn't I've ran 4 or 5 sessions. I'm not the only DM out there in our group even.
I'm not calling you out on this. I don't know how you play, but as far as I know, most of your players are satisfied.
Yeah. And that's more it. Like if they're not satisfied, I just don't expect that they'll come back.
I mean, I assume, and this is just me. I know players have a hard time discussing with their DMs when they want more.
Mm-hmm.
I've had players that stop going to campaigns that I do because they're like, "Oh, I thought my character was going to be this," and it's like, "We couldn't make your character that." And they're like,
Yeah,
"No, I just wanted that from the start." It's like
but I
it's
mean,
not
that's
how
one you
growth
can't.
works.
Yeah, it's not how works. It's not how the system's foundation is, and it's impossible to do without discussion. You need I need backstory, I need goals, I need relations with your characters. I need to have a way to put you from point A, this farmhand who is now on a quest to slay a dragon, to point B, I've slayed the dragon and I'm a badass.
Yeah. And higher level campaigns, you can definitely get away with that. But lower level campaigns, when you have players that want to experience the ground up, it's
Yeah.
fun to do things like that. I mean, maybe just me. I am also a forever DM, so I end up with a I want to beat you to death with a rock type of campaign.
I One trope that I have, and I've noticed myself do a lot in new campaigns, there's almost an unwritten law for me. In either the second or third session, I am going to throw a mimic in there. This is a trope that I almost infallibly do, except for my current campaign. They have not run into a single mimic yet, and they're level 6.
I mean, not every world has mimics.
Exactly. That's one thing I tried to point out. They're still all paranoid about the chest, and I'm like, I have never once said that there are even mimics in this world. So, there probably are. I just haven't decided yet. Black puddings, though. Deadly slimes.
Yeah, slimes are interesting because they're kind of like nature's cleaners.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
had a
like.
party campaign that took slimes and used them as toilets on the like the road, and I'm like, I don't know how we got here, but I'm kind of okay with this.
That's horrible.
It is kind of horrible, but I do like its utility. It's the utility of the slime.
The porta potty is just a pot with a slime in it.
There was, yeah, there
That's
was
what it is.
So actually, staying on that, there's an anime I just finished watching recently, where this guy makes a toilet and they put slimes in it to deal with the refuse.
The
Because the
time I was
slimes,
reincarnated into a world as a child where I am a tamer.
no,
Okay, well,
it
that happened in that
is.
one too.
It happened in that one too.
Is that the actual name of an anime?
That is
Yes.
the actual name of. Well, that's the English version of it.
Oh my god, that's horrible.
It's
It's
Izakai
probably
no
still.
Desu de something something something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one is I got reincarnated as a farmer or something like that. And so he builds this toilet, and originally he's just dumping into it and hauling it off himself. But eventually there's slimes in there. He's like, I'm not sure how I feel about doing my business above a slime.
Is it one where
Uh,
he gets a wolf pup and he doesn't
Yeah.
understand their language?
No. He does get 2 wolf pups. Well, wolves, full grown inferno wolves, but no. He also gets a giant spider.
Mm-hmm.
It's a recent one. It's just finished.
No, the manga's been out for 2 years.
Yeah, the manga has been, but the anime just finished.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy the anime. I enjoyed watching it.
Is
It
it?
ended on a.
Is it? Does he find the spider in a giant tree and then a bunch of hot girls start showing up?
Yep.
Okay, that's a harem anime where he has over 200 wives at the end.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. It's all the elves. Ugh, the elves all want to breed.
Well, it's not just the elves. Like there are so many like hot chicks that show up, and then he creates like
Mhm.
a second village.
Yep. Yep. So
Yeah.
season 1 of the anime version ends just after his first child is born,
Okay.
and they are now planning to make the second village because
Yeah.
they have a bunch of others that want to come and join it.
Because he essentially becomes the demon king to other humans, and
And
they
the
say,
Demon King's afraid of him because whatever.
yeah, and then like the humans start sending heroes to go fight him, and then the heroes fall in love with him or like become his friends and then join the harem. But then he's like, "Oh, there's another male here. I have a friend." And they're like, "Yeah, but like, what about all these females?" And they're like, "You don't understand. All they want is something from me." And he's just like, "We need to like hang out and be friends." And the hero's just like, "I don't know what's going on."
Yeah, that is perfectly right.
Yeah, it's great.
Uh,
Anime's got weird stuff. Jesse, isekais are insane.
Dude, like the
I don't watch anime, so I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
so isekai literally means in another world. So it's every anime that you ever watch that's quote unquote an isekai anime is just either A, I teleported to a different world, I got summoned. B, I got bodied in my original world and I got reincarnated.
Oh, you gotta
Or
love Truck-kun.
Truck-kun is a god, okay?
He works.
So Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, it's a video game out on the computer. It's Pathfinder based RTS slash turn based strategy.
Yeah.
There is a mod for it on Nexus Mods, which is the Isekai mod, and it literally is just make your character an OP Isekai protagonist. It adds a couple classes and backgrounds. It also adds religion, the goddess of reincarnation, Truck-kun, which is a true neutral god, and like evil god X or something like that from the I got reincarnated as a spider.
Yeah. Then there's also reverse isekais like Yu Yu Hakusho, which are
Mhm.
I die in our world, but I come back with more power.
Yep.
And then there's
Uh,
double reverse isekais, which is a new isekai standard that came out, and that's a
it,
whole nother mess.
yeah, one just like the first episode released yesterday or the day before, where it's I got reincarnated to a world again, and it's the second time going to the same world after saving it the first time.
Yep. That one's actually a very well written isekai because everyone is just treating him so nicely, and he's just like, "Look, I don't even want to be here. Like, I got back. I was napping."
I was enjoying my day, and y'all kidnapped me again.
Well, he got isekai'd like a week in our time, and then it was years in their time. So he became an old guy. So when he went back to our world, he was still a kid.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, that's a really good series. It's almost the time I was reincarnated, but it's like I have to rebuild the kingdom is pretty good too.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse,
Overlord is one of my personal favorites.
I liked Overlord, and I say liked because the moment Overlord became an anime, they stopped doing the manga.
Yeah.
And that is a huge problem in the industry for me because I like reading the manga, but every time they're like, "Oh, this is getting an anime," they just stop.
They really do.
The only times that they don't is like One Punch Man. One Punch Man 1 is just like, "Cool, here's the anime. I'm still going to write my comic book garbage. We're going to get an artist that redoes my manga." He goes 3 steps. It goes garbage manga, good manga, anime, and then like he's just like, "I don't really care."
Yep. That and was it Mob Psycho because it's the same creator.
Yeah, it's 1.
Yeah.
He does good stuff. I like his work.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, Jesse,
Yeah,
what do you want to talk about now?
I was talking with Tim about the DM stuff or the D&D stuff. So
Yeah, I mean D&D stuff is cool. Do you want to sell clicky clackies?
I love Clicky Clacky.
I mean, I'm not gonna make them, so I don't really have a strong opinion on it because I'm not. It's not something that I can make. So it'd just be reselling, and that's not something that I think either of us really want to do at this stage.
I don't think reselling makes sense for that type of store, but I think like mystery bags would probably work if we want to make stickers of our own and put them in the bag.
I think the mystery bag idea is a good thing. I like that one, and then we can put them in that.
Mm-hmm.
But just as a standard product, I wouldn't.
It's more the hobby shop thing. It's not a
Yeah.
hobby shop, it's a secondhand shop or like a artist correlation.
Yeah.
I think from the outside perspective, I think your mystery bags are a great idea, and I absolutely love them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Um Other than that, you guys want to move on to a real world topic for the ending of our thing? What's grabbing your attention this week? You want to talk about Easter? You want to talk about how they're trying to control the internet to stop all podcasts from existing? Do you want to talk about anything like that?
I feel like that was a loaded one.
No, I mean, like, I'm giving you options because I can talk about anything. So you guys are the ones who make the decisions on my left and right hand side.
Gotcha. I don't have any real world topics that are particularly intriguing to me at this moment in time.
How about AI?
AI, like
Chat GPT, the AI art generators, all that kind of stuff.
I don't like AI art particularly much, rather.
I like AI, but I understand that the amount of nonsense people are doing right now with AI is staggering.
Mm-hmm.
It is just too much. It's always too much.
I think AI gives you the opportunity to have freedom on the internet, and it can be used to create programs and get people into systems they never had a plan to be in. But it's kind of a unless you know how to do it, you're not gonna it's you can't do it type of thing.
Certainly not as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, it's new. If you don't get into it early, you're never going to be able to get into it, and everyone who does get into it will make a lot of money. It might kill huge industries like Google. I mean, like, fuck Google. Um,
It's just such a weird concept that to me, and it feels like it's going a little too fast.
AI art is the touchy subject because it pulls from people, and
Yeah,
people create things that are valuable and beautiful and expressions of themselves. But if you pull back and look at AI like coding, AI coding is also AI taking away people's art. AI writing is a way of taking away a style of writing because there are styles of writing and
hmm
character development.
Yep.
But all of these things are available on the internet, and they've been on the internet because people post them, and that was the initial push. But and this is just me saying this, the doomsayers who said in the future they will just steal all of your stuff were right. But you made that risk when you put it on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, that is fair. That is not incorrect at all.
Yeah, it's very scary for an average person to come up and go, "Hey, you learned how to code. It took you 4 years to get a coding degree. This one simple hammer fixes and does what you do in 20 minutes."
Right.
But it's also kind of liberating because thinking is a lot less necessary, so manual labor becomes the necessity. So people in a manual labor job have more incentive to organize to go beat up their corporate overlords and take all their money back because hey, I can't become a coder and I can only flip burgers because all the skilled labor is gone. So you have to pay me double or I'm going to burn down the McDonald's.
That's fair. On the note of like collectivizing and unionizing that type of stuff, did you guys touch on the whole Tesla plant firings thing?
In Buffalo?
Yeah.
we
Do you want to
never
get
touched on it,
you want to
but
give me
we
a
can.
rundown?
So the Buffalo Tesla, a bunch of the workers were trying to unionize. Specifically, they were like,
Gigafactory
uh,
3, by the way.
yeah,
I
they
used to work
were
there.
they were trying to unionize. It's the guys who were doing coding stuff
Mm-hmm.
primarily, and they were trying to unionize. And they actually came to my house looking for somebody who doesn't live here, to see if they would join the union. Like that Friday, Tesla laid off about 40 of them for trying to unionize. Their original reasoning was like Tesla gives like 5 minute bathroom breaks, stuff like that, and that they're counting keystrokes when they're typing in order to make sure they're doing exactly how much work they want them to do, so on and so forth. But Elon Musk is like notoriously against unions, and it appears that it led to a mass firing. I know that the state, I think it was either the state or federal government, required them to return some of the jobs, but not all of them.
So this is me used to work there. I worked in the Gigafactory. I can break down some thoughts. I'm not under MDMA. It's a shit show there.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk doesn't like yellow lines is a news article that I used to make fun of when I worked there. He doesn't like the fact that they look ugly on the floor. As someone who used to who worked there, the yellow lines on the floor are so trucks don't drive in them, so people know where to walk. People died in factories because there was no different space between people walking in the sales floor or people driving a forklift on the production floor. A lot of his things he does are things that we've known about for so long that fix so many problems. And let's say it's not Elon Musk, it's upper management. There's a reason certain companies make certain products and have unions inside of them. Ford has a union. GM has a union. These are strong unions, and the purpose of them is to just have basic safety. Like, when a company says, we don't want to give you gloves, is just insane to me. The Gigafactory, there was a time that they have to meet a worker quota, and it's happened over and over and over. The first time they did it, they were like, well, we got to have 2,000 people. They hired in 1 week 500 people before the new year, lay them off before their 90 days. But it looked like on paper that they had employees. And this is something they've talked about in the news a billion times. I mean, Elon Musk might sue us, but we're too small, so I don't think they actually care. But these are just things that they keep doing to people, and people don't have a way to protect themselves in the factory. I've seen people dragged out of that factory for getting in disagreement with their manager, and then like a week later, someone got hurt because of the management's decision, and I just can't quantify that in my brain to think that, I don't know, they have a lot of money. It's money that controls all these things, but I think Buffalo is so poor that the amount of money that Elon Musk has to spend in the city, he might not make a profit if he keeps giving people money in the city of Buffalo. That a union would probably fix the issues, and then Elon Musk would not lose as much money. But that's just foresight. Companies don't see that. That's all I got on that one right now.
Jesse?
I don't know anything about the Tesla plant firings or anything. It doesn't surprise me in any way.
As a DM, how would you play Elon Musk in this situation?
Jesse, that's you.
That's
Yeah.
me.
That's all you.
A fat dragon stuck in a mountain.
Okay. I like it. It's very topical with the D&D movie.
Yeah,
they're
that
using a
was.
specific red dragon for it too. Claver.
Yeah, he's
something like that.
Elon Musk is a fat dragon in a mountain who can't leave anymore because he's gotten so fat and happy up there.
I mean, Twitter is
The
a whole shit show.
the people just have to realize, like, you don't got to give that dragon your gold anymore. He's
It
too
can't
fat
get
to
out.
leave. He can't come get you. Just stop helping. Just stop giving stuff to him.
Oh my god, that's so perfect. I mean, it doesn't help that we're in oh my, it's kind of like terrifying, like the fall of Rome in the United States, where we have our actual government saying the quiet part out loud every day.
Oh my God. Yeah. Every day it's like, why are you comfortable saying that?
I
This
mean,
is not supposed to be a comfortable topic. Why are you okay?
yeah, I mean, yeah, and we have like a vet in here. And how is vet relations, by the way?
Like in the VA,
Yeah,
actually really good.
that's good.
But so funny enough, Buffalo, Western New York specifically, the Western New York VA is the I think it's number one in New York State, but I think it's in top 5 in the entire U.S.
Is that because we have so many poor people that we have a lot of veterans?
I'm not sure. I think it could be, and then because of that, they want to invest a bunch of people or invest a bunch of money and resources into making that okay. But it's also possibly because it's directly next to UB South,
Yeah. So there's
and thus they
probably
can't risk making it look absolutely shit
so
next to a college
it's
for
kind of
medicine.
interesting to look at it and go, "Hey, by the way, if we look like shit in this situation, we'll get put on blast." And I
Mhm.
think back to one of those topics I was talking about, the government wants to control social media because, and this is just TikTok, but the information we're getting is so good that they can't put propaganda out there. That's the back end of that situation. Like, was it military honey or whatever her face or whatever her name is, where she's trying to like on TikTok talking about how cool the military is and how there's a bunch of hot girls, but it's like, this is propaganda, stop listening.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is. Yeah. I got nothing to say on that one.
Yeah, you don't have to say much. I understand the situation. I'm a 30-year-old adult who's lost a lot of friends to military operations. Uh, it's weird. It's a weird time to live. I think, I mean, if we ever get monetized and someone brings up this conversation and the government hunts us down and murders us, I mean, I'm prepared for it.
It wouldn't be hard for me. They'd just do something when I'm visiting the VA.
Yeah.
If I'm dead, it's just not my problem anymore. So
Damn, Skippy.
God, we're so morbid.
That sounds like hella not my problem.
you know what? I think that's good. That's where I'm going to end my part.
Yeah. I
If
appreciate
you're
it.
dead, it's not your problem anymore.
I guess I gotta ask, do you have any closing statements for the podcast? This is gonna be what, episode 5 or 6?
Episode 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point in time, we pretty much know our style. We're gonna riff and go from there. I kind of like the new setup with the pictures. It's really pretty.
Mhm.
Hopefully, I have more prep time for our guests next time. We could do cameras. Live action would be fine, but also, I mean, like, I can
Or just
make,
getting all in one space.
yeah,
I would actually kind of like to do a live action one.
yeah. I have a setup in my apartment. I could definitely do it.
One of the
So,
weekend.
Mhm.
yeah, we just got to find a time that. Here's the thing. If we play Magic at my house, and this is just me pushing my house as an idea, I can supply food, and we can make a podcast.
Now let me put. I'll be the counter to that. Like 3 to 4 of the other players live in the same town.
That is my problem.
At the same time, leaking carpool and it makes no difference realistically. So I'm fine with either way. I already burn gas. It makes no difference.
Same. I mean, as far as I know, I do have cookies available, and I have someone who can host better. If you guys just
enjoy
want to do a
cookies.
recording in the future, we can plan around that. That sounds really nice. I have no other statements past that. You got anything to say, Jess?
As always, just, try to be good to each other.
Seriously.
Tim, you got any statements for the audience of 4 people, which is mostly us, and people on YouTube, which will probably be us again?
Say to your future self.
Say to my future self. Let me think. Make sure you refill your meds 10 days before.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a good statement. I like that. That's supportive for a lot of people who go through hard times.
I ran out 3 days ago.
I also have to get my refill tomorrow too, so I feel you. Other than that, I mean, the next topic we kind of have to cover is our, what is it called, furry or creature infatuation, and how we feel about centaur women.
You
Horse on
really,
top or horse on
really
bottom.
want to do that one.
I just think it's
I still like the fish one or the lamia one better.
yeah. I mean
Well,
those.
let's put a pin in that till we can get a full crew together.
Yeah, that's definitely a very good topic to talk about. I don't think we want to like get too crazy into furry topics, but I mean it's very interesting. I'm really into cat girls. I get it. But other than that, I think that was great. If anyone does watch this, like, follow, subscribe. I know it's really annoying. You're gonna hear it every time, but it does help because it reminds you, because we're all lizard brained. And if you made it this far, you're probably gonna like the rest of our stuff because we're kind of garbage people that just exist in our local area. We're like the fish that you find in a radioactive pond. We have 3 eyes and we make really good jokes.
Dude, I'm just fucking tired, okay?
Thanks for watching, everybody. I love you. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.